Welcome back in NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. Sorry for still sounding a little bit under the weather. We are here to break down the current NFL playoff picture. We begin with the NFC. Lions, Eagles, and Vikings have all secured playoff spots. None of them have locked up their divisions quite yet. In the AFC, the top four teams have locked up their divisions, or top three teams, three of the top four teams. Chiefs, Bills, Texans have all locked up their divisions. Steelers have also locked up a playoff spot. We'll break down the clinching scenarios, the remaining paths, etc. for all the teams still technically alive. But if you haven't already, now is a great time to subscribe. We've got daily videos for you. We'll have CFP game watch parties, plus live NFL shows, NFL Red Zone on Sundays. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. All right, let's go into the NFC, and where we got some drama now at the top of the class is the Lions coming off a quite literally painful loss to the Buffalo Bills, 48-2. They suffered multiple injuries in that game, and my concern is that a very talented Lions team might just be on the wrong side of the luck this year. Now, they have already clinched the 7 seed. Because they have the same record as Minnesota, and they play to end the year, they can't clinch the division yet. They can lock up the following seeds with what comes next. They get the 6th seed if the Packers lose to the Saints. They get the 6th seed if the Commanders lose to the Eagles. They get the 5 seed if Green Bay and the Commanders both lose, or if they simply beat the Bears this upcoming week. The Eagles now have life for that number 1 seed in the bye, the coveted bye, of course. They beat the Steelers 27-13. They have the Commanders coming up this week in a really good football game, then wrap up with the Cowboys and Giants. That is a very easy schedule for Philadelphia. Now, they can clinch the 6th seed with a Packers loss. They're not really too worried about that because they lock up the NFC East and at least the number 2 seed in the process with a win over Washington. That is a massive game for both teams as we move down the stretch here in the NFL playoff picture. The Buccaneers now have the number 3 seed thanks to their very impressive win over the Chargers. Liked a lot of what I saw from that game from Tampa. They're on a heater, 4 straight wins, and they play 0 teams above 500 the rest of the way. Their toughest game is probably at Dallas this Sunday night. Then they've got Carolina and New Orleans. Although they are close, there are no clinching scenarios at this time for Tampa Bay. We have a new number 4 seed as well, the Rams, thanks to Seattle's loss. Talk about them in a second. And their win over the Niners, an ugly one on Thursday Night Football. They have the number 4 seed for now. They are 8-6. They go on the road against the Jets, and then 2 critical in-division games versus Arizona and versus Seattle. The Rams control their own destiny right now. The current next-gen stats playoff probability, 54%. The Vikings, they are also in the mix of the number 1 seed. Now, they got a much tougher schedule than some other teams do. They beat the Bears, good job. They got at Seattle, key game, might not have Geno Smith out there, versus Green Bay, at Detroit. A lot riding on these next few games for Minnesota. Their clinching scenarios beyond the number 7 seed this week. They lock up the 6th seed with a win against Seattle. The 6th seed with a Washington loss against Philadelphia. They're actually probably hoping for an Eagles loss that game to help out the number 1 seed chances. They can also get the 5 seed with a win versus Seattle and a Green Bay loss against New Orleans. Different than the Lions because the Lions have already played Green Bay. Minnesota's got 1 more game left. So it's a 3-team race for the number 1 seed, really, in the NFC. Who gets that number 1 seed? E for the Eagles, L for the Lions, V for the Vikings. Go vote in the comments section of today's show. Green Bay has not yet technically clinched a playoff spot, but they have a greater than 99% chance to do so. And the reason being is the schedule's got the Vikings still, but they can lock it up even before they play against the Saints on Monday Night Football. Now, a win gets them in. Locked in no matter what, that's easy. Or they can have the Falcons lose to the Giants, and one of these 2 things happen. Seattle loses to Minnesota, or the Rams lose to the Jets. The Falcons loss seems a bit unlikely, but the Packers should clinch a playoff spot this weekend. I guess it's a Monday game, so not quite this weekend, but still, you guys know what I mean. All right, the Commanders, they held on in a game they also should have won and lost because that clock should have kept running. Weird home cooking there from the Saints crew up there. Anyway, so they beat the Saints. They got the Eagles The Falcons, in a game that could have massive wild card implications, could clinch a spot that week for the Commanders. And then at Dallas, a 78% chance of making the postseason. Now, they can clinch a spot this weekend, which does seem a bit unlikely. They do that by beating the Eagles and the Falcons lose to the Giants, or both the Rams lose to the Jets or the Seahawks lose to the Vikings. So there's a lot of complicated stuff there. 3-step process. Commanders beat the Eagles, Falcons lose to the Giants, and either the Rams lose to the Jets or Seattle loses to Minnesota. Probably too much going on there, but the Commanders control their own destiny. They just got to take care of business down the stretch here. That Falcons game, though, next week, that might be for the 7th seed. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Their Game Time's focused on togetherness this holiday season, and that means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is so much better, and it's the perfect gift. Why not get your wife or girlfriend? Probably not football tickets, if we're being honest, but theater? My wife's a big theater fan. Maybe yours is too. Game Time also has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets if your favorite teams play live, or whatever live event you're going to, even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats. So it's a waste of time searching through thousands of different tickets. It's curation designed to get you the best price on great seats. Download the app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. By the way, the Game Time guarantee is this. You find tickets in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Now, terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports for $20 off. Download the Game Time app, create your account today. What time is it? It's game time. That loss against Green Bay saw a 30-plus point swing from what they were last week alone, as now Seattle's got uncertainty about Geno Smith's health. They have a tough game against the Vikings in Week 16, at the Bears, a must-win game in Week 17, and then maybe a game for the division against the Rams in Week 18. By the way, as you wonder why the Bucs are 3 and the Rams are 4 right now, and the Rams are out of the Seahawks, Rams have the head-to-head win right now over Seattle. Tampa has the better conference record, so that's the tiebreakers there. So Tampa, again, in control right now for that number 3 seed. Let's move here to the other team on the outside looking into the playoff picture beyond just the Seahawks there, the Falcons. Kind of an ugly win over the Raiders, but a win is a win. Their schedule's easy. Giants, Commanders is the pivotal game there because the Falcons, I think, have to win out. Snapped a 4-game losing streak. They should beat the Giants. That game on the road against Washington, depending on what else happens, has the possibility to be a, hey, winner gets that 7 seed, loses on the outside looking in come playoff time. The other team that is still alive with a better than 10% chance here are the Arizona Cardinals. They beat the Patriots, big win there. Panthers game, hey, they should win that one, puts them at 8-7. And then they got the Rams and the Niners. So 2 games to potentially try to control their own destiny down the stretch here. I think Arizona has to win out to make the playoffs this year. It's not the most outlandish scenario. There could be some real chaos this year in the NFC. So who wins the NFC West? S for the Seahawks, C for the Cardinals, R for the Rams. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Technically speaking, which is the best kind of way to speak, the Niners, Cowboys, and Saints are all alive in the playoff hunt. It is a matter of when, not if, they are eliminated. They all have a less than 1% chance to make the playoffs. It's simply not going to happen for those teams. Let's go to the AFC, where this is like kind of the format you're going to have. You're going to have these 7 teams in probably. The combined playoff hopes for the Dolphins, Colts, and Bengals is at 22%. There's like an 80% chance these are the 7 teams in. That's unheard of at this point in the NFL season, by the way. Let's go to the Chiefs. Now, the Patrick Mahomes high ankle sprain, he's got the Steph Curry ankles, he'll be okay long term. That's how he is going to raise some question marks for this Chiefs team short term. Texans coming up on Saturday. Steelers, Broncos. They've got at least the number 3 seed right now, but they want that bye. Win over Houston would be massive for that, given the fact that they are where they're at with just one loss this season. Here are the Chiefs' clinching scenarios. They get the number 2 seed with a win over the Texans, or if the Steelers lose versus Baltimore, that's the number 2 seed. The number 1 seed, at minimum, would be locked up with a win and a Buffalo loss versus New England. Their magic number's 2 already, with still 3 games to go. But that seems a little bit unlikely at this point. I don't think Buffalo's going to lose to New England. I think Buffalo will take care of it. Maybe a slight letdown game, but this schedule for the Bills is really kind of unique and also easy. They've got the Patriots twice and the Jets once, and both those teams are not playoff teams. Bills are hot. They've secured at least the number 4 seed. They will get the number 3 seed with a win against the Patriots, and the Texans lose to the Chiefs. I will say, though, they probably don't want to have the Texans lose versus KC because that hurts their number 1 seed hopes. So you're probably just wanting to win and cheering for Houston to keep your number 1 seed hopes up longer term. All right, Pittsburgh coming off a loss against Philadelphia. Boy, they missed George Pickens and his vertical ability. Tough schedule left for Pittsburgh. Baltimore on Saturday, Chiefs week 17, and a Bengals team that's probably going to be out of it by week 18. Now, they have clinched at least the number 7 seed. They clinched the 6 seed with a Chargers loss against the Denver Broncos. But if they simply beat the Ravens, they secure the AFC North and at least the number 4 seed in the process. There are some scenarios which they can get a little bit higher with 3 seeds next week, but they would at least get that home field game and the division. So who you got in what is a really good Saturday football game? Steelers, type in PIT. Ravens, type in BAL. With their win over the Dolphins and the Colts losing, the Texans have secured the AFC South and at least the number 4 seed. The seeding stuff in the AFC is mostly going to sort itself out because they all play each other. Chiefs on Saturday, another great football game. We'll see about Mahomes. Ravens in Week 17, then against the lowly Titans in Week 18. Let's look at the wild card here. And you've got 3 very clear favorites: Baltimore, Denver, and LA. Now, none of those teams have technically clinched a playoff spot yet. It can all change this week, though. The Ravens play the Steelers. They want to win that game, to secure a playoff spot, but also keep their division dreams alive. Houston and Cleveland round out their schedule, by the way. Here is how they clinched at least the 7 seed. Now, number 1 is just win versus Pittsburgh. Or, if the Colts lose and the Dolphins lose, the Ravens secure the number 7 seed. It's not the most outlandish scenario. They can still clinch a playoff spot with a loss against Pittsburgh. Now, they get at least the 6 seed if they beat the Steelers and the Chargers lose to the Broncos. Because, again, all these teams play each other down the stretch for seeding purposes. Let's talk about Denver then. They play the Chargers Thursday Night Football. Good football game there, by the way. Then they go on the road at Cincinnati and then host the Chiefs to wrap up the season. It's not an easy schedule, but they've got a sizable lead. They've played well, and they got a 91% win probability. Again, they can clinch their playoffs with the following. They beat the Chargers. That's it. Or the other 3 teams that are still alive in the AFC wildcard race, the Bengals, Colts, and Dolphins, they all lose. That's it. Let's go to the Chargers. They had a kind of a bad performance against Tampa. They dropped down. They're now the 7th seed in the wildcard race. They're sitting there, at 8-6. Denver, but then 2 very easy games down. That's why the playoff probability was sought. Even if they lose against Denver, it's the Patriots and Raiders, 2 of the worst teams in football. Here's how they clinch a playoff spot. They beat the Broncos, the Colts lose against the Titans, and the Dolphins lose to the 49ers. So there is a scenario in which all the NFC AFC teams clinch this week. Probably not going to happen, but that scenario does exist. The 3 teams that are still alive, by the way, if Indy hadn't collapsed down the stretch and totally blown that game against Denver, their win probability would have been the playoff probability would have been 60%. Because their schedule's so easy. But now they're several games behind with 3 to go, and it's just probably going to be too much. Colts at 10%, Dolphins 7%, Bengals, I'm saying there's a chance at 5%. But your path is Chargers collapse for these 3 teams. Everyone else is eliminated. No one else has a chance, and I think there's a chance that this list gets very quick, very short, very soon.